Hi everyone, it's Bethany. In this tutorial, I thought it would be really fun to make a little desktop trash can. I think they definitely come in handy when you are weeding out vinyl and HTV, just a little tiny place to place those little scraps, especially with HTV because HTV can get really clingy and kind of get everywhere, and you definitely want to make sure that your workspace stays really organized and clean so that you don't accidentally get any HTV scraps on your design that would accidentally press on. So I thought it would be a nice idea just to create a little tiny bin for all those little pieces of scrap material that just did not quite make it onto the design. So I got this little tiny bin at Hobby Lobby. It's really cute. It's in the little spring shop section and it's $4.99, and I feel like that spring shop section, that's a tongue twister, I feel like it's always 40% off, so this comes in really affordable, and it's a really nice little size because it can just sit on the little desktop and not really get in the way, but can come in handy. So the items that you will need to create this look are, I'll personally be using the Cricut Joy today, but you can use any cutting machine that you'd like. I'm going to use a couple different colors of vinyl, so we're going to do a little bit of matless cutting with white color, and then I have some scrap material of this nice little blush color. I think they call it Petal for Cricut Joy, and so I'll use my mat because this little piece is obviously way too small to auto feed into the Joy, so I'll place this on my green mat that comes with the Joy and we'll get that cut. So this is a really wonderful project if you have scrap materials because the design is just going to be really small. I think the space I'm working with is about 4 inches by 2 inches. So again, if you have little scrap pieces lying around, this is a wonderful project for you. And then I'm going to use some Cricut Joy transfer tape, and then for tools, we're going to just use a scraper tool, weeding tool, and some scissors. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop into Cricut Design Space and get our little design all designed and cut out. It's going to be really, really cute. I found a little weeding tool image that's really fun, and we're going to put some text with the little graphic on this little bin. So let's go ahead and hop into Design Space and we will get everything all ready to go. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the Shapes box and click that, and I'm going to add a square. Now this is just going to replicate the surface area that I have to work with on the tin. So I measured the area that I have to place vinyl on, and it's about 4.5 inches wide by 2 inches tall. So I'm just going to use that for measurements, and I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to label it a really pretty blue color, just trying to get it a little closer to that teal color that we are working with. Let's see here. There we go, that's a little closer. Okay, so now what we'll do is we are going to do a combination of the text button, and we're going to do a combination of images to create this look. So we'll go to images first, and I just typed in tools to the search engine up here, and then I'm going to use this icon here. And so this is really cute. It's just a little Cricut tools, and I thought this was really fun. So I'll go ahead and insert my images, and they are in 2 different layers. So what I'm going to do is I am going to only use the weeding tool for my project. You can feel free to use all the tools if you like, but I'm simply going to use the weeding tool just because this is going to be specific to scraps that are created through weeding. So I just thought it would be fun to do the one tool, but feel free to do whatever you would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one layer at a time, and I'm going to click the contour button. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to click the areas that I don't want. So I don't want the scraper tool, and I don't want, whoops, and I don't want this spatula tool. So I'm just going to start taking away. So I got that first layer done, and now I'm going to go ahead and click the second layer, and I'll click contour, and I'll grab those final pieces. And you can watch over here. I like to keep my images kind of off to the side or down or over here, because when the contour box pops up, then you can still kind of watch as you are contouring, just to make sure you are doing or taking away the pieces that you want. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is these colors are not the colors that I personally am going to use. So I'm going to grab this top or this bottom piece, which is the teal, and I'm actually going to make this a pink color. And then this handle, I'm actually going to make a white. Oh, whoops. Pink. White instead. Okay, so this is the look that I'm going for. Now, if you'll notice, let me grab this top one. If you'll notice, let's see here. Just want this top piece. This top piece is, so they're separate layers, but this top layer actually lays right on top of the bottom layer, and I don't want it to do that in my final cut because I don't want to be placing vinyl on top of vinyl. So instead of allowing it to do that, what I'm going to do is I'll line those back up, and what I'm going to do is I'll select both of them and I will slice. So now what I can do is I can drag this little piece off and I can take this little piece underneath and delete it. That way what I'm doing is simply lining up vinyl in my final project instead of putting vinyl on top of vinyl. I don't think it will look very good. I think it'll be also kind of tricky to line everything up appropriately. And then with Cricut Joy vinyl, I feel like it's a little bit thicker of vinyl too, so placing it one on top of each other, I feel like it's going to be just too much of a raised surface. So I prefer to do it this way. You can certainly do it however you'd like, but I feel like this is kind of best practices not to layer vinyl on top of vinyl. So what I'm going to do next is just kind of flip it over, and then I'm going to bring it over to my design here, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so right about there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some text. So I'm going to go over here to the text box, and the words I want to use are, I want to call this my bye-bye bin. So it's just all the little pieces. Another little saying I was thinking of was didn't make the cut. I thought that was kind of cute too, for all the pieces that didn't quite make the cut, but I thought bye-bye bin was really cute too. So I'm going to size this down just a little bit, and the font I'm going to use is, let me click on this, there we go. I'm going to go up here to fonts, and I believe it's called, let's see, Market Street, let's see, Postcard, Market Street Postcard. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this look more like a cursive font. So right now all the little letters are standalone letters, and I want to bring them together. So what I'm going to do is you can either go over to the letter spacing and just make the letter spacing closer together, but I personally like to ungroup my letters, and then when you ungroup, all of the letters are now standalone letters, and you can just drag and place them wherever you would like. So I'm personally going to do it that way, but you can do it any way that you would like. So I'm just going to kind of bring these together. I think this font is super cute. And let's see. Pull this up just a little bit. Okay, and then we'll put this one here. And the more you bring the text to life, the better it looks. So it's super fun to play around with fonts. Okay, so now once I have them, where I'd like them, I'm gonna pull this out just a little. What I will do is I will just go ahead and select all of them, and I will come over here and weld them back together. So welding them back together will ensure that they all cut together, and this whole image cuts as one piece. So now I'm going to just make this a white color, and then I can drag it up to my project up here and just pull it in. Okay. Cute. I think this is going to be really, really sweet. Okay, so that is going to be the look that I am going to go for. So now what I can do is, now that everything is sized and looks how I want it to look, I can go ahead and take this little piece and I can hide it because I don't need my Joy cutting out a rectangle. So I'll hide that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and click Make It. My Joy is already selected, so let's click Make It. And then what I'm going to do is the first piece that's going to cut is the white piece, and that's going to be on without a mat because that's going to be continuous cutting. So I will go ahead and do that. And then when I come back to do the pink piece, I'm going to have to put it on the mat. So I'll have to change my settings a bit there because those pieces obviously are super small, and they're just going to go on a piece of scrap material. So I'll go without a mat first. And it shows me how it's going to place this on there. It should be both pieces. Let's see here. Where's the rest of it? Okay, so real quick, what I want to do is I want to go back into Design Space and just separate these two pieces so that they cut together a little bit closer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little piece, and what I'll do is I will just, let me duplicate it, and then I will contour out one on the first one. Let's see here. Do this one. Okay. And then on this one, we will contour out. So why I'm doing this is so that those pieces just print separately. I'm going to be placing them on there separately anyway. So it's totally fine just to put them together. So I'm just going to have them cut like this. That way we can use that teeny tiny piece of vinyl that I have. So what I'm going to do now, again, I'm going to do without a mat for that first one and with a mat for the second. And I'm going to just double check. Let's see here. Where's that other piece? Not sure why that's not really showing up. It's sure being a stinker. Okay, so I'm just going to put these a little bit closer together. That way I can just not waste a lot of vinyl. That looks great. And then this one I'm going to grab. What is going on with Cricut Design Space today? My goodness. It's being such a stinker is what it is. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, hopefully that looks close enough to what it's going to do. I think Cricut Design Space must be super tired or something today. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click continue. Hopefully they get it all resolved soon because that kind of makes crafting a little bit of a guessing game. Okay, so now I just located my joy, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just find my vinyl. So I'm going to use Smart Vinyl Permanent, and then I'm going to click done. And then the first piece again is going to be matless, so we'll just load that without a mat, and then the second piece we'll place on a little mat and get that cutting. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for this first piece, again, we're doing matless cutting, so you will just feed it in like you would on a roll. So I'm going to go ahead and just feed the roll into the joy, and then what it'll do is it's going to pull it through. It's going to make sure we have enough material to do the cut, and then once it's ready on the device you're using, whether it's a phone, a tablet, or a computer, it'll just have you click go, and then it will go ahead and start doing the cut. So the first cut we're doing is that little text that says bye bye bin, and then the little handle to the weeding tool. And while that's going to cut, what I'll do is I'm just going to take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and a cotton swab, and I'm just going to wipe off the surface of the little tin that we're using. This will just remove any type of dirt and dust and grime that was on there from either sitting at the store or shipping and handling and all that good stuff. So it just cleans it up, and then it helps the vinyl to stick better. Okay, so now I can go ahead and click unload on my computer because that's already done and it looks really good. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and load my little mat, but again, I have to go in and edit it on my screen and make sure that make sure it knows that I'm going to be using a mat instead. Okay, so now that it knows that I'm going to be using the mat, I'll just go ahead and place my little tiny scrap piece onto my mat. And I'm just using the standard grip green mat that comes with the Joy. And then I'll just go ahead and let me click continue on my device, and then I will go ahead and auto load it, and then this one will get cutting. Okay, so now that little pink piece is done as well, so I can just unload the mat, and then I'll just take this little tiny piece off, and I'm going to use my scissors just to cut off any extra vinyl that I have. That way I can save it for the next project. Okay, and so now what I'll do is I will just start weeding out my design. So on this first one, it's going to be really difficult for you to see because Cricut has the white mat on the back of the Smart Vinyl. So this is going to be white on white for this part, but you will see it soon when I put it onto the transfer sheet. But so far it looks really great. And then, of course, this is all going to be tossed in the little bin once I get it done. So that'll be super nice to have. So I'm just going to weed out my little middles here. Make sure I get all the little pieces inside. And weeding out the middles simply means that some of the words will have little middle pieces that have vinyl in them, but you want to take them out of course, like B's and D's and O's. And then if you're using a font that's cursive, a lot of additional letters will have middles in them just because it's a very loopy and curvy look. Okay, so that first piece is done. Again, sorry you cannot see that, but again, the Cricut brand is a white backing for the Smart Vinyl, but then I'll just do this little pink one. You guys can see that pretty well. And take that little middle out. Okay, so then I'll just get all of my little scrap pieces cleaned up, and then we will start putting this little design on the bin. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut my little pieces apart here, and then we will start using transfer tape to put everything on. And actually, we might put the little second one on with some just as we would a sticker, but we'll see. So I'm just going to kind of cut this little transfer tape to size. Again, we're using very small pieces today, so this is a very good project if you have little pieces of scrap vinyl laying around, because you'll just be able to use tiny pieces that you would have thrown away. Okay, so I'm just grabbing a little corner of this transfer tape, and I'm going to lay it right on top of my first little part here. Okay. And now I'm just gonna scrape it down here with my scraper tool. This is just helping the vinyl and the transfer tape to meet and really press together. That way we can get it all pulled apart here. Okay, and again, I did apply that rubbing alcohol to my surface. That way it's all nice and clean and ready for the vinyl. And now I'm just going to very carefully peel up my backing so that white mat, if you will, is going to come off and leave the letters right on the carrier or the transfer tape. And if you need your weeding tool to kind of help nudge along any pieces that are being particularly stubborn, then that's completely fine. I use my weeding tool pretty much throughout the whole process of weeding and transferring. It's nice to have just a little tool handy for that part. Okay, so that first piece is all ready to go, and now what I'm going to do is just get ready. I'm going to see where I want this piece, so I'm going to kind of place this piece on there, and then I'm going to just kind of eyeball it here. Bring this up just a little and over a little, and then once I have it where I'd like it, I can simply lay it down. That looks good to me. Okay, so once I have it laid down, I can go ahead and use my finger and just press it down in the beginning, and then I can go ahead and use my scraping tool and really press it down. And then I can just take a corner and peel away the transfer tape. And then I'm left with my words right on the bin. So now the second thing I'll do is I will go ahead and grab my little weeding tool here and put it on my transfer tape. Just like that. And then I'll peel it right up, super easy. And then I can go ahead and kind of center that one as well, where I'd like it. Okay, so then once that one's down, we'll just scrape it down as well, just applying a little bit of pressure to make sure it gets all laid down without any bubbles, and then we can peel it up. Okay, so I can still keep using this piece of transfer tape, which is really nice. I might cut it down a little bit. I was going to apply these like stickers, but the little hook side seems to be just a little bit too tricky to do, so I think I'll just do regular transfer tape with both of these. So I'm just going to place a little tiny piece of transfer tape, on there, and then do the same process. We'll just scrape it down. Do the back too. And note that I did use the same piece of transfer tape for all 3 transfers. So that's another great way to reuse your materials, and this makes this project super affordable because you're using scrap pieces, you're reusing transfer tape. So now I'll just cut these little pieces apart here. Perfect. And we'll apply them one by one. So this first little one is going to go right on the end here. So just kind of put it together like a puzzle piece. Just like that. And then again, just pull off the transfer tape. Oh, that looks so cute. Okay, and then again with the other piece. Just line it up like a puzzle. Okay, and lay it down. And then I'll use my little scraper tool as well and pull it up, leaving that little hook side down. Oh, it looks so great. And that was really easy to do, lining those up and just laying them down. Super, super easy. So there we go. That's the final little look. Okay, so that was the final little project. I love how it turned out. I think this is going to be a really fun little addition to my craft space. I can just go ahead and place all those tiny little pieces of scraps in here, and then once my project is done, then I can just dump this and it will be all good as new and ready for the next project. So I think this is going to be really fun, and I hope you guys decide to recreate something similar. I think it's a really great idea just to kind of help simplify your craft area. That way everything stays organized so that your projects stay successful. So I love how this looked, and I hope you guys love it too. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I would love if you would subscribe, so you can go ahead and subscribe and be ready to go for the next few crafts that are coming. We have a lot of fun ideas, and it's going to be really sweet. Now that spring's here too, a lot of spring things are coming to the channel, and I know you guys are going to love everything that's coming, so I'd really love to have you here. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video.